Hello, everyone. This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out at Night.
Oh, do they ever come out at night? Mostly.
So, if you're just tuning in to the podcast, which, why haven't you been following this podcast?
Congratulations.
It's number one A-plus podcast that no one's heard of.
It's the number one podcast in the Philippines.
Yep. Number one podcast that literally zero people have heard of. But if you've been following this podcast at all, you know one of our favorite movies to ever come from this podcast is a little tiny gem we like to call Death Force.
Yes.
And we keep it in our hearts because
Forever.
it is amazing. It's incredible. It's
a perfect movie.
Everyone needs to see that movie. Every action fan ever needs to see that fucking movie because it is incredible and like it just is just shining up in the sky, and it just is what I compare every film on the podcast to because it is just that damn good.
It's B-movie magic.
And one of our viewers would agree that people need to see this movie.
It's blaxploitation meets samurais meets revenge meets Filipino B-movie magic. Apparently,
yes.
It's glorious.
Now, if you told me that the same director directed not only the movie we watched tonight, but also TNT Jackson,
That's 3 movies on the podcast so far.
I would tell you to get out because, I mean, you can notice the style, but nothing even comes close to how good Death Force was.
No, but
it's
lightning in a bottle.
It's lightning in a bottle. He struck it gold once and then couldn't replicate it.
But I will say, unlike other repeat offenders, I suppose.
This is a better one.
Because this is what we call them on the podcast. I call them repeat offenders.
Because it's better than Al Adamson. Al Adamson is like total meme director. I mean, I love his movies because they're so...
Al Adamson's a mongoloid.
So stupid.
Because Al Adamson is a mongoloid who
just
thinks his movies are cool when he fucking directs like a monkey. But when we watch it, it's just... But I will say, all 3 of this guy's movies have been entertaining.
Yes, absolutely.
Very entertaining.
Like in different ways, but they have been very entertaining. And this is no different. I mean, is it Death Force? Absolutely not.
No.
Nothing will ever be Death Force. But tonight we watched Firecracker.
An hour and 17-minute movie of the most simple, brain-dead lizard brain entertainment, and I loved it.
Like, so lizard brain, it's so simple and so lizard brain, it's almost like some scenes are just downright shameless in how lizard brain they are. One scene in particular.
There's one scene in particular that is
the most lizard brain,
incredible,
like shameless bullshit, like action scene, but
it's amazing.
You know what? I'm kind of here for it.
I'm here for it because, sometimes you just need a little bit of...
You just need to appease that little lizard brain inside.
Inside every man.
Just watch an action movie, and certain things happen in this action scene that we'll get to. That it just appeases that little
it's
tiny
shocking
brain, like
gelatin. I don't know.
Like it just gooey lizard brain shit, and it's great.
Like, we already decided this is gonna be a rambler.
Yeah, because it's such a simple fucking plot. There's like literally almost nothing going on.
And since it was very entertaining, like it's easy to ramble on this one.
Yes.
Because the basic setup, literally, is there is like a crime organization that sells drugs, buys drugs, and does illegal fights.
There's the FBI investigating them, and then a woman looking for her sister.
Who, in the very beginning of the movie, for reasons unexplained, gets like kidnapped, quote unquote, during one of their like illegal fights.
Yes.
And this woman's sister spends the rest of the movie looking for her and fucking shit up.
Now we should mention the woman is a martial arts expert and trainer in...
She has her own dojo. LA. Which explains why she basically kicks everyone's ass.
Yes. Absolutely.
in scenes that should not exist in any way, shape, or form, but they do because we need entertainment.
You know what's weird about this movie? Like, it's not like extremely violent,
But when it
like
does happen,
when the violence happens, my God, there is like blood everywhere and like just gore.
yeah, like I mean, the movie starts out like that because the first scene is like these guys fighting, and the guy has like this giant, like it's like a staff that they glued like a fucking butcher knife to the end of, and a guy just gets impaled with it and like lifted in the air, and there's just like
Yeah, it's like a spear with a Bowie knife on the end.
and there's just tons of blood on his stomach. It happens all the time. You're just watching this thing, and it's all like slapsticky, and then there's just like a moment of like hard gore.
It's weird because like it's almost like, you know how like Quentin Tarantino breaks up his like high tension scenes with like really funny like things that happen in the scene. It's like that, but it's like this really like intense action like slapsticky scene that's broken up by like extreme violence. It's so weird. Like it's like this slapsticky, like happy-go-lucky fucking action scene.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like one guy falls into a fucking spiral saw. It's like,
And they set you up for it because like they're like fighting, and like the saw gets turned on, and you know the only reason they show it is because that dude is gonna get his fucking head launched into it.
yeah, but just before him and his buddy, literally stamped a fucking policeman onto a fucking knife.
We should just talk about this scene. We should just get this over with.
Let's just talk about the scene because this is the most ridiculous scene in the entire movie,
Because-
and this is the shameless like lizard brain scene.
Our main character is walking to her like hotel or whatever, and there's just these two guys drinking, and they like look at her and they're like, yeah, and then they just start walking after her like, hey baby, let's fuck, like let's do it.
So she fights him off a little bit.
So she starts running away in high heels, mind you. 90% of the scene, they have this actress running around fighting in high heels. So she's running like
it's
like one.
It's almost as ridiculous as Jurassic World when they have the fucking.
Well, to be fair, in Jurassic World, they don't even bother mentioning that she's in high heels. That was just stupid, like, continuity. In this, they make a point of it, like, hey, she's in high heels. Because slapstick.
Because why not? Yeah.
Because slapstick. And they, like, and then, like, she runs past the cop, and she tells the cop, like, these guys are trying to, like, assault me. And the cop tries fighting him. And they just push him, and there's like this, like, it's like a fucking Grim Reaper, like, scythe.
I know.
That's just sitting on the ground.
And they just press their feet on his chest and just, like, impale him on this
And they
fucking
impale
thing.
him, and there's, like, blood coming out of his mouth and his chest. It's like, why?
So then she runs, and, like,
She gets stuck in a fence.
part of her dress gets stuck in a fence, so she has to rip it off.
And then she keeps going, and progressively as the scene goes on.
He like grabs her dress and rips it more, and then she's like in her underwear.
She's just in her underwear in the tiniest bra.
Which is funny because
ever.
The beginning of this movie has her fighting people in her underwear because she gets to the Philippines just really quick. She gets to the Philippines and two like robbers invade her like hotel room.
We don't know who these guys are.
And she just like starts fighting them in her fucking underwear.
She just kicks their ass, like breaks all the furniture in her hotel room. We have no idea who these guys are. I don't care.
They don't ever explain who they are.
I don't give a shit. We wanted a fight scene. We got a fight scene.
Like, okay, so, and I should also mention, I'm sorry, we'll get back to the slapsticky scene. But I want to mention that we kind of like, we always say that movies kind of pad out their like runtime with like bullshit.
Yeah, like you get scenes of like normally in a normal shitty movie, there would just be people talking about things that don't relate to the plot,
or they like focus on like a character that didn't really matter,
or you get like fluff, like scenes of people driving,
or like awkward silences between people where they could just like pad out the runtime so they can get to a feature length. This one does not opt for that option. It's an hour and 17 minutes, and most of the padding is just action scenes.
Here's the thing: every scene, if the scene doesn't have people fighting, you have people talking very like quickly and efficiently about the plot,
Yes.
about like plot things.
There's literally not a scene where they talk about anything that does not directly involve the plot, what's going on, or an action scene.
Literally an hour.
That is literally all it is.
That's why it's an hour and 17 minutes.
It trims the fat. It's an action movie that has literally no padding.
Nothing.
And that's probably why it's an hour and 17, because they could have padded it out to like an hour and a half by
I'm glad they didn't.
having them talk. We also get one of the weirdest sex scenes I've ever seen, but we'll get to that.
That was a choice.
But anyway, so now back to the slapsticky scene, because I just had to mention that. But
it's just the scene where she gets progressively less clothed and like just fighting these guys all slapsticky, and eventually like this is the same scene where a guy gets his fucking head shoved into a fucking saw.
yeah, and then she like kicks the other guy's ass and just like leaves him.
But before she kicks the last guy's ass, he has like a little knife and he cuts off her bra.
Yeah.
And she's just like, fuck it.
She's fighting topless. She only has panties on, and she's fighting topless, and that is literally the scene. She's fighting just topless.
Completely topless.
Like,
picture it in your head.
Pretty much naked. Literally just underwear.
Picture it in your head.
That's it. Panties.
That's the scene.
That's all she's wearing.
Yeah.
It's shameless.
It's insane.
It is so insane and shameless. And I'm sorry, I don't know about our sensitive viewers, but it just appeased my little tiny, like, misogynistic lizard brain.
Yeah.
Just seeing a woman fight topless. I don't know why.
I've never seen this before in my life.
I've never seen it before in my life. I've seen movies that have action scenes that are centered around sex scenes. I've seen that before.
Like, this is true.
Like shoot 'em up.
Like shoot 'em up.
Like that. Like talking about
this is the same.
About blowing your load. It's the same lizard brain bullshit, and I don't know why I enjoy it. I'm not gonna try and explain it to anyone. I just did.
You know, I think it's because when the first scene first starts, I was like, oh, like this better not be like a fucking rape scene or something.
I'm glad they didn't go there with it.
But they didn't.
No.
I mean, because it's like I said,
it's
like,
shameless because these two dudes, that's literally all they want, and they do get her like naked, but they like pretty much die in the process.
She murders them.
She murders them to get
with no consequences.
To get what they want. Yeah, exactly.
And it's great.
She literally shoves one of their heads into a fucking spiral saw.
Yeah, like it's shameless.
Yeah,
it's insane. This scene like sums up the movie, honestly. It's just shameless.
So the other main plot point you need to know is she's basically there to look for her sister, and she wants to learn this new technique where you use, because this will come in handy at the end scene, where you use like I
don't remember what it's called, but it's some Filipino thing where it's like these two sticks and they're not sharp.
Yeah, you use two sticks, like two blunt objects, to take down your enemy, and it's this technique. It's like really brutal. And she wants to learn that technique, and she does through
she does in
off
screen, and the whole scene in total lasts like five minutes. I mean, it's like you said, trimmed.
Oh, it's very trimmed because you already know she's already learned it.
Well, you don't know it until
learn that by the end of the movie.
The end of the movie.
We'll get there.
Which I guess we'll save this one.
I need to save this one because it's like the keynote.
This is the keynote.
Like we're gonna jump around. But the end, I think, needs to wait until the end because it's so...
I mean, one of the other big plot points is there's this guy named Chuck who's involved with this like criminal gang, and he's one of their fighters. But he's also like... There's all these double crosses going on, which are always hilarious.
Well, yeah, because it's always this guy trying to pick up drugs, right? He's always doing a trade, and then it's always Chuck, like...
fucking it up,
thwarting the trade.
So the first time they like tried to do it, and they like attack them on like a dam, and they all just get out of their cars and just float away.
Because the other guy's name was like Grip.
Grip.
Yeah, his name is Grip.
I don't.
So poor Grip keeps getting double crossed by fucking Chuck.
I feel bad for this guy.
Like, he gets double crossed like 2 or 3 times in the entire movie, and like every time.
And at the very end, they just straight up decide to murder him.
Because Bruno, our main bad guy,
Yes.
is like, he's like, oh, well, I had to do this to gain all your trust and show you that I had to eliminate Grip. And I'm like, why go through all this fucking...
He's basically monopolizing the trade.
It's weird that he had to go through all this shit just to get rid of Grip. He could have just fucking killed Grip. Just told Chuck to kill Grip.
No, apparently he needed everyone in the Filipino underworld, I guess, to know that Grip always gets ripped off.
So we should...
Like the scene where they're driving, and Chuck is supposed to be watching them, and then for some reason, Chuck has like a fucking mortar brigade that like blows up the road and then just steals his shit again.
I just love this because it's always comical when the fucking like shootout happens, because it only happens like twice.
Yeah.
It's great because Grip is always surprised by it.
They're just driving along and then just there's like a fucking army attacking them.
Now we should mention that our main woman, I can't remember her name.
I don't.
Because I know her sister's name
Bonnie.
is Bonnie. I don't know why I can't remember her main name. It's like Vicky or something.
They never say it?
I don't know. I think that she says it in the bar at like the first scene where she introduces herself, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it is.
Well, speaking of introducing, because that's how like... So she walks into like this arena, and there's like these fights going on, and she talks to Chuck, and he basically tells her like, yeah, like there's more. Like, you want to get involved in this? And she's like, well, I need to like pay rent. So she offers to like fight in these like dirty underground full contact fights.
She also knows some bullshit's going on because throughout the movie she's also following Chuck while he does all this shit to Grip. So she
what he does is drug deals and shit.
She knows like they're bad people, but for some reason she still kind of falls for Chuck.
Suzanne.
Okay, my bad. So she still kind of falls for Chuck because they kind of start this like back and forth, and they're like very flirtatious with each other, and
the scene.
This will lead to this weird, awkward sex scene.
Let's do it.
Let's do the sex scene because it's fucking weird, and like,
well, okay, so
we need to talk about it.
This is like, by the way, hour 17 minutes. This is like 50 minutes into the movie. This
is way too far in the movie.
They discover her sister's body. The cops discover her sister's body, and they show her the body, and she's upset.
So she's obviously upset because she just found out her sister died.
She runs
by this like crime syndicate
into Chuck's hotel room or whatever, and they're like embracing. And
now, this is what the fuck is going on? Like, okay,
I don't know.
This is a weird way to start a sex scene because basically she's like, they're embracing, and she's like, hold me and everything, and then all for no reason whatsoever.
This is not explained why this happens.
A fucking cat just crashes in. I wonder if that just happened. Like, the cat just wrecked the set and they kept it in the fucking movie.
Because fuck it.
A cat, like, runs into one of the fucking mirrors and breaks some shit.
And then he jumps off, like, a table and breaks another mirror. And then she's, like, she's so shook up by the sight of this cat.
Is this supposed to be like an omen? Like maybe, oh, you're sleeping with your sister's killer kind of thing? Like maybe don't do this?
Well, if that's what they're going for, this movie's smarter than I give it credit for.
Because think about it. Black cat and broken mirrors. So it's like, if you're superstitious...
Bold.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I just don't get why there's a fucking cat crashing fucking like everything, and then just nopes the fuck out.
Okay, but Will, everything about this scene is weird because
it is. It starts weird and it just gets weirder
because he takes her to the bed. Oh my god, I can't believe this. He takes her to the fucking bed.
Everything's kind of normal because he picks up her feet.
They film a lot of it through mirrors, so it's like very stylized.
There's mirrors everywhere in this room.
He turns on the mood, the 80s mood lighting.
Pink and yellow light.
And he starts taking her shoes off, and then he
you think he's gonna rub her feet or something?
He plants her feet on his dick. And I was like, oh.
He's fully clothed, I should say that. He's not naked yet, but plants her feet
on his like crotch,
on his crotch
as he's standing
and
there.
then he like takes out knives like kind of aggressively.
And I was like, what? And then he puts his hands into her pants and starts cutting her pants off.
And she's like, I don't know what they told the actress to convey here, but
Confusion.
like it's a mixture of confusion and like lust for some reason. Like it's weird because it is like lust and confusion.
Literally.
It's not like
It's not just 100% lust.
It's not like apprehension. She's not like telling him to stop or anything. But you can tell she is very confused. And I'm guessing that's because they probably didn't tell her exactly. They probably in the script were just like, sex scene. And then they're like, okay. The director's like, all right, now cut her pants off. It's like, what? Excuse me?
It's like, hey, he's his signature thing is those two tiny little switchblades. I got it. Use it to cut her. So he cuts her pants off, cuts her underwear off, cuts her shirt open, cuts her bra open.
Well, she remember she stops him, and you think like, okay, she's telling him to stop because she doesn't want this, and then she
punches him.
She punches him out of the way. I'm just like, okay, hell yeah, all right. I was very confused.
Well, she punches him out of the way and smiles, and like continues
undressing. So I was like, what?
And then he stands like he stands on the bed. And we'll just get that, like, just that glory shot of just, like, her framed in between his legs.
As he's, like, clenching his fists. Like a real man.
He's throbbing.
Just throbbing.
And she takes his knife and starts cutting his pants off. And my favorite thing is as she's cutting his pants off, he's, like, you see his fist just, like, clenching. And then his face is just, like... Oh yeah, like
oh yeah, she's using my knives to cut off my pants now.
He's just losing it,
and so then she cuts off his pants,
and they're all naked.
And they roll over, and she lays flat on top of him,
and they're apparently fucking.
Well, she's like, I can feel your head throbbing.
Oh my god, she's like, I feel the blood throbbing through your head, and she's rubbing his head, and I'm like, is that like? Is that a double?
You know what that is, okay? Like, let's not pretend.
So good.
Let's not pretend that is not exactly what they meant to say.
This movie's so childish.
Well,
so I would almost believe that.
I love it because to give context to the sex scene.
What context?
Well, no, I mean, I need to tell you what he said. Remember in the beginning of the movie, like, they're investigating the girl, and he's like... They're asking Chuck like to follow the girl around. And then Grip is like, screw her, and like Chuck is like, I intend to.
But that's not the point.
Yeah. So he did.
Fitting.
He did.
He did.
He got that in the most like awkward sex scene I've ever witnessed. Like I've never, ever.
It's not as awkward as the fucking sex scene in what the fuck was it? It was some stupid martial arts movie that we watched.
It is. I will admit the one where they're getting it on and the dude his friend like watches them for a minute. Like you remember that? Like he like just watches them like kind of get it on for a minute.
No, there's the one I can't remember this fucking name of this movie.
Because that was 1980. That was the Challenge of the Tiger, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where they, like, the dude bros, like, are hanging out.
Well, because he's supposed to be stealing the shit.
He fucking watches them, like, almost have sex.
And the guy's like, get the fuck out of here, get the fuck out of here. No, there's the one we watched where the guy's like, they just planted a camera. Like, the girl's, like, on top of the guy, and they planted a camera, like, next to her hip. So it's just him, like, forcing her. And it's just, like, him, like, eyes closed, like,
I remember.
It's not as fucking weird as that. But this whole scene, the word that you can describe, that you can say is choice. It's a choice.
It's definitely a choice.
I will say this. It still is deeply entertaining. If only because it's just so fucking baffling.
It's like I kind of get what they were going for because they're both martial artists. I guess they like aggressive like fucking shit. But
Who knows?
I don't know.
The funniest thing though that is that like
They're going for like a pseudo.
it's the very end of the movie.
You see like Mr. and Mrs. Smith where they have like the fucking
They
like,
fight and have
they have like the sex scene where they're fighting.
Yeah.
And it's like very passionate, but they're both assassins, so it makes sense because they like violence.
Yeah.
It's like they were kind of going for that like kind of thing, but like
it's weird.
They just didn't make it work at all.
Well, plus
It's just weird.
they drop this bomb on you like 15 minutes before the movie ends.
Yeah, and then they boom you by she like immediate like the scene after she like learns that he killed her sister.
Because we have multiple scenes where the main bad guy Bruno is like explaining everything to his like maid. I don't even know who she is.
Her and like the FBI informant are the main exposition dumps in this movie.
Her job for him is to like look pretty and pour like mimosas for him.
Well, she's also the FBI informant.
But that's what I'm saying is we find out like late in the movie.
Bruno and her are the two like exposition dumps of the movie. We get all of our information from them, but in the last the last like 20 minutes of the film.
Because after all these scenes of Bruno dumping exposition,
I shouldn't call this a film. It's just a movie. But...
It's a masterpiece. We find out that this woman that he's been telling all this stuff to is like an informant. And she finds out that Chuck killed Suzanne's sister.
Yes.
And after this, I mean, I'm not joking. She just runs out and is like, "I'm gonna fight." Yeah,
she is. I'm gonna go fucking kill them. So, like, one of the FBI guys goes after her, and then...
they send like fucking Bruce Lee to like stop her, and instead of stopping her, he just fucking goes along with it.
I don't know if you've watched. Was it Dynamite Brothers?
No, it was Death Promise. Sup Kim.
If you've watched our Death Promise episode, man, we're doing a deep dive. I'm mentioning a lot of episodes.
A lot of martial arts shit.
So like, if you've seen that, I love Sup Kim, and he's only in like a bit of the movie, and he like shows up at the very end,
and he's like, "What's up, guys?"
to help them fight.
Yeah. But he's down. He's down for it.
Bruce Lee FBI guy like pulls a Sup Kim and just like shows up at the last half of the movie and has probably the best damn action scenes in the entire movie.
Well, because like they send him to stop her from basically going in there and murdering the bad guys.
I love how all that's going on while like Bruno's like henchmen are going into the bar. They see the woman and then like everyone dies.
All the henchmen die.
All the henchmen die. The FBI informant dies. The fucking bartender dies. Like everyone in the scene dies except for the main FBI guy.
Clean.
But it doesn't even matter because he's barely in the last.
No, it doesn't matter because fucking Bruce Lee, who's supposed to stop her, is just like
you get Sup Kim 2.0.
He's just fucking... like fine. Like he's just gonna go in there with her and fucking murder people.
So you got this like we'll talk about the end of the movie now.
Yeah.
So because I think we've gone over pretty much everything.
Trust me, I'm sure something will come to me.
So you got this perfect little bow at the end of the movie, right? So you got all the fucking crime lords in this same place.
Yes, they're all there, and she calls them, and she's like, "Hey, that fight to the death, like
I want to do it."
Because again, this is, if you want to sum up the simplicity of this movie, he literally calls this place the arena of death.
Yes.
Not like, something special.
And they train in like some fucking ruin shit.
Not like the Colosseum, not the main arena.
Well, okay, so it's funny because the place he owns is called the Arena, which is obvious, and then
the death place.
The death place is called the Pit of Death or something.
The Arena of Death.
The Arena of Death. So it's in the arena, and it's called the Arena of Death.
And she's like,
how much more simplistic do you need to be?
And she calls him, and she's like, "I want to do it."
And he's like down for it.
And he's
because they think they're just gonna kill her.
And so there's like 3 of their fighters lined up, and she's like, "Nope,
no, I want to fight.
I want to fight him."
And she points to Chuck.
And then he's like, "What?" And then the guy's like, "Okay, fine, go for it."
And he like hardcore simps for her. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't know if we can.
This is.
But he is such a whiny bitch.
I was not expecting this, but yeah, when they were like fighting, he's like, "Please, like, there's another way. We can talk this out." And it's like, you killed her sister, bro. Like,
there's no. He's like, "Oh, like, I'm sorry. What am I supposed to say?" I'm like, You killed her
I
fucking
know.
sister. Like, you can't just make this better by saying, like, oh, geez, sorry.
What can I say?
Oh, what can I say? Sorry, things happen. I just killed your sister. My bad.
I don't know. You didn't like. It's not like you spilled her Cheerios.
You didn't, like-
fucking.
Yeah, you didn't, like, fucking insult her sister. You fucking killed her sister. Like, you fucking...
But she starts fighting
you
him.
murdered her sister.
She starts fighting him, and before this, they murdered fucking poor old Grip. They finally murdered him.
Oh yeah, so Chuck killed Grip because Bruno wanted all them to know that
Bruno knows
he needed to get Grip out of the way, even though he could have done that from the very beginning of the movie.
now,
but whatever.
So now Bruno controls the whole Filipino drug trade, I guess.
Yes,
and
because Grip was the only thing stopping him for some reason. I don't fucking know, because Grip was technically his henchman, so I don't know why Grip needed to.
he's like an independent contractor, I guess.
I don't fucking know, but
Grip's like a fucking contractor, apparently.
Apparently, he's the contractor that everyone needed to go through to get the drugs,
But
and
not
now that
anymore.
he's gone, Bruno has full control.
And Chuck has a thing for bracelets, I guess. So when she shows him like her like death sticks,
She has the bracelet because
she gives it to him,
She went back to his place to look for the bracelet,
and she finds it,
and finds like her sister's bracelet and everything. So,
and that's also when she convinces Sup Kim 2.0 to basically go along and
well,
fuck
I love
shit up.
because when Chuck and our main woman are fighting, you see Sup Kim just. Sorry, I'm gonna call him Sup Kim because I don't know why it's actual name, but
I don't even think they mention it, dude.
he like fucking like cleans house. He just fucking kills like everyone.
Dude, he's jumping from like rafters and murdering people.
He has some really cool. You can tell he's like the one that's the only.
The
one
most,
that,
like-
he's like the only one that has actual martial arts training,
Or I mean,
or the most competent, I should say.
because I will say, like, the fights, I do like the fights in the movie, but it's very obvious that he's like the most, like,
Skilled.
he's the one who's fucking, grew up watching Bruce Lee movies.
Yeah,
and
because he'll do
fucking
like flying kicks. He like breaks someone's neck and shit, and then he goes
breaks people's necks and like just all sorts of crazy shit.
He goes after Bruno and like fights some more guys in the hallway. Bruno like runs, but he catches him with a samurai sword and is
gets
about
stopped
to stab him.
right
and
before.
the FBI guy's like, "No, I want him."
So they'll arrest him, but he just fucking cleans house.
He just fucking he mops the floor with those guys like while she's just like taking care of business, and he's like, "Okay, cool."
Well, they're fighting.
That's why he's Sup Kim 2.0, because he doesn't give a fuck and he just helps her for no reason.
He's down.
Yeah,
he's
'cause
down.
He doesn't stop her.
No, he
He went to stop her and then literally doesn't.
and he's like, oh fuck it, I'll do it.
He's like, fuck it, I'll just stop everyone else and I'll like literally take down the main bad guy of the movie.
Meanwhile, she's fighting and getting like beat up, and she's getting bloody because he takes out his fucking knives, and eventually she gets the upper hand with the sticks, and he falls over, and
She like smacks him in the balls and then fucking like gets on top.
The ultimate move is she smacks him in the balls, and he drops down, and she gets both of her sticks and just jumps, and we get this shot of her like flying through the air, and I'm like, what's gonna happen? I don't know what's gonna happen. I thought she was gonna like smash his like just like punch him in like the chest or something.
You thought wrong.
I thought wrong.
The violence, like I said, is it's like warranted. They don't
It is warranted.
They don't use it. They don't use it a lot, but when they do use it, it's like
this is
significant.
Bro, this is 100% earned.
I love how quick this is because you don't get a chance to like look at like the prosthetics or anything. It's just so quick that you barely have time to process it, but you know exactly
because you see it
what happens, because you see it full on camera. But they cut away very quickly because my God, is this violent?
Because she like jumps on him, takes the two sticks and fucking stabs him with like the blunt, they're just sticks, blunt sticks, just stabs him in the fucking eyeballs.
Well, I love it because it's a prosthetic dummy head that they put the eyeballs on, and like it cuts away like right when they go in, but like you can see the fucking
it's spurting,
gooey fucking blood just like spraying,
like
right before they cut, and you're just like, fuck.
And it's just like she kills him, and then she stands up and starts walking away, and they fucking roll the credits.
That
Beauty.
is such a cool way to end your fucking movie. Like, in an action movie, what do you need?
Yeah.
You don't need your cliche bullshit like, oh, everyone lives happily ever after.
Not with
like,
this.
Like,
Not
oh,
with this.
the girl gets the guy or whatever. But like, no, like,
Not with this.
she got her vengeance. That's all she needed.
Well, I just love it
That's
because
all
like
we needed.
the main bad guy is like is arrested, so he gets the clean.
Well, you know exactly
defeat.
what's gonna happen to him. Like,
But the main guy who killed the sister, he gets he was stabbed in the fucking
and
eyeballs.
Sub Kim is just like, yeah, I let her go. I let her kill this guy. And like, you're just like, okay, cool. She got her vengeance.
End movie.
That's what she literally came here to do.
Epic.
That is all you need in an action movie. You don't need a complicated plot in an action movie.
I also want to mention another funny scene is right before the Bruno's fucking assistant mimosa pourer person reveals that she's an informant. She like starts chasing Suzanne.
Yeah, so
down like a
Suzanne's
mountain.
like leaving like the headquarters where she's spying on like
She's spying on one of their drug
on
deals,
Chuck. Yeah,
and she's leaving. And she's driving away, and we thought we were gonna get like a chase, but instead Suzanne just like slips and just yeets off a fucking bicycle, off a bike into like the grass,
and gets stopped by this woman immediately.
and she's like pointing a gun. She's like, "Don't make me do this." And I was like, "Oh, she's gonna kill her. She's gonna try to kill her." But then she's in the car, and she just tells her like, "Yeah, I'm an informant."
It's just an exposition dump.
She's like, I've been with them all this time, and I knew Bonnie and all this stuff, and like. She's like, where is she? And then, again, simplistic as fuck.
Well, again, like, it's an action movie. Do you really need like a complicated plot? I mean, sometimes that works, but ultimately, you know what the audience is there for.
Not every movie can be The Matrix.
No. Like,
and,
The Matrix is like hard sci-fi with an action movie, and it's great.
Something like this, though. I mean, if this had like, you know, if this tried to be complicated, and if they added on
it'd be lame.
And then if they added on another half hour of bullshit you don't care about, like you said, it would be lame.
I think it'd be so stupid. I don't think you need it, especially in like a B movie like action film. You know what they knew what they were going for, and they just made the movie. Is an hour and 17 minutes, so you know they weren't like, oh yeah, this needs to be a really long movie.
Well,
they barely had a movie.
In a movie where our main hero fights two would-wannabe rapists and gets progressively more naked through the scene and then murders them, do we need complicated plot?
No. Well, there's also a scene involving, it's like a interrogation scene involving a snake.
Oh my god.
And
they do some Metal Gear Solid shit.
The snake like gets released, and she like grabs it real quick, flips up onto like the banister, and fucking throws it to grip,
and he just runs away with like the snake, with like a plastic snake on him
wrapped around his neck.
That scene is so quick. Like they like subdue her magically and take her to like this. It's like it's another arena. It's literally just another arena. It's not the
arena of
it's
death.
It's not the vanilla arena in the beginning, and it's also not the arena of death at the end of the movie. So it's like a third unnamed arena apparently.
Yeah.
There's just all sorts of arenas, and she's like, "What's this?" He's like, "It's question and answer." Like, I ask a question and you answer right, you live, or you answer wrong and I give you the cobra. It's because he thinks she's the one who's fucking
the most deadly snake in.
He's like, I assure you, the Filipino cobra is the most deadly snake on the planet. Because he thinks she's the one who's been fucking bamboozling the drug deals.
Any snake expert can confirm that.
If you want to confirm that,
Filipino snake is the most deadly.
If you want to confirm if there even is such a thing as a Filipino cobra,
I don't know. But anyway, she yeets it at fucking grip.
She eats it at him and then fights like two guys, and then Chuck shows up and they're like, "Let's get a drink."
Yeah,
that's the scene. Like, it just. I
like how scenes just happen in this movie.
No, scenes in this movie. Scenes are either exposition or a fight.
Yes.
Sometimes both, because in the beginning, you get the exposition dump in like the arena, and at the same time in the background, there's a fight.
Yeah, and they show the fight quite a bit
So it's like
while they're still dumping exposition on you.
they mixed it up. But yeah, each scene, I swear, it either starts, scene starts, you either have characters immediately talking, or there's immediately a fight, and then as soon as the fight ends or the talking ends, scene ends.
Well, and if you think about it, there's only like it's kind of crazy because there's only 3 like super violent scenes.
Yeah,
Like I would say, like not like ultra violent, but it's like
with like
there's only 3 like
blood and
purposeful like violent scenes.
yeah, that's it.
Which is great. It's not you don't need overly violent scenes in an action movie.
I mean, look, I'm a savage. So if they had more gore, I wouldn't complain. But it does.
Dude, when it comes to action movies, I'm a troglodyte. You could fucking like you just put 2 dudes or like a dude and a girl or fucking anyone fighting on screen, and I'm probably gonna be into it.
I'm into it.
I mean, I'll be honest. If it's not like superhero bullshit, if it's just like
if it's just 2 actual people,
2 actual people like just throwing fucking punches at each other, and you put any kind of style on it, I'm gonna be into it.
Yeah,
because I'm a fucking like frog brain when it comes to that shit.
I'm an absolute amphibian brain on this one.
Exactly. Like this is just our bread and butter. We just fucking love this kind of shit.
Yeah, like I could watch this shit all day. Like. I swear, if someone somewhere opened up like a library of like martial arts movies where you could just go there and just watch random martial arts movies all day, I would fucking go. That would be me.
Yeah, same.
I would be like, yeah, whatever. 2 people fighting, I'm down.
I still consume as much as humanly possible of action movies.
Yeah.
So it's like it's never not going to be cool to me. To my fucking amphibian. Like,
this shit will never not be awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And in something like this where there's a lot of shit here I've never seen before in my fucking life, so you know it's a winner.
Yeah, this movie's actually like good. Like, it just confirm. It's just it's a well-made action movie. I'm not gonna say like it's like groundbreaking, but like. It's an enjoyable movie. You're only spending an hour and 17 minutes. Like you shouldn't. Like I have no room to complain.
It's an hour and 17 minutes of pretty much non-stop entertainment.
I just love how it doesn't waste your time. It's just, it knows what it's here for. It's just pure action and a little bit of like talking to get the plot along. But that's all you need in an action movie.
That is all we need.
And then you just get fucking dudes hitting each other, like a badass woman fucking fighting all these like fucking like sweaty dudes.
Yeah, like basically kicking every dude's ass.
It's fucking awesome.
It's great.
Sort of like TNT Jackson, but way better.
This is better.
It's way better than TNT Jackson.
I mean, TNT Jackson was quite a while ago and many beers ago. But I do recall the fight scenes in TNT Jackson being a bit herky-jerky.
Yes. This one was not herky-jerky.
This was a lot better.
What would you like rate Shitty to Pretty on this one? I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10. I don't think it deserves that. But like,
man,
I would honestly probably say an 8 just for sheer entertainment.
Honestly, for sheer entertainment and just because I don't have any nitpicks. And even like the stuff that's like quote unquote bad, like the fucking Bruno's acting, it's still fucking hilarious. I would say a 9.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, I mean, it's not a 10 out of 10. It's not Death Force.
Dude, nothing can be Death Force, okay?
Yeah, it's not that. It's not The Island.
Like, Death Force and The Island are like goats. Like,
but it's fucking entertaining as hell.
And nothing can beat Inframan for me, so.
That's another special one.
There's some goats of this fucking podcast that I will never forget. And, like, those 3, like, stand out among a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of really good ones, like Which You Can See and JD's Revenge and shit like that. But, I'm sorry, Death Force is like...
That's your aesthetic.
That's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
I compare all other movies to Death Force now, so
It's ruined your life.
it is ruined. It has ruined B movies for me because I know how fucking awesome they can be.
You know what you can accomplish.
It is literally probably my favorite B movie ever.
You know what you can accomplish.
Yeah, I know what you can do with no budget, and I've seen it.
You've seen God.
I have. I've had an epiphanal moment.
You've opened the Ark of the Covenant.
I wasn't religious until that movie came along, okay?
Now I believe in Death Force.
Yeah, exactly. Do you believe in God? Nah, I believe in Death Force.
I believe in Death Force. I believe in the man who made it.
So yeah, I don't know. If you're in the mood for like just a short little action movie that's actually really good, go watch. You could do a lot worse than this. Like
It's on Prime.
It's free if you have a Prime membership. It's awesome. Firecracker. Just go watch.
Yeah, like
Just go watch an hour and 17 minutes of a fucking action movie.
you have literally nothing to lose.
With a badass chick fucking beating the shit out of people, and then
Yeah.
Sup Kim 2.0 comes in and fucking kicks even more ass, and then like it's just fucking awesome. I guarantee you'll enjoy it if you like martial arts movies.
If you're into this kind of shit, trust me, you need to watch this.
Yep. It's just that good. So yeah.
That's it.
That's all I gotta say. For the Mostly Coming at Night, this has been Will.
This has been Alex.
We'll talk to you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Throbbing.